It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again. Add another swerve and then put it on a poll again. Put it on a poll again. Put it on the poll again. And our square to quad.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this live edition of The Swerve. This is Vince Russo, your host of hosts. A little bit in a perturbed mood tonight, and I'll tell you why. I've been watching MLB TV for the last 48 hours. The winter meetings started on Monday. They continue today. The hottest free agent out there on the market, Jon Lester. The hottest commodity. The Giants were one of three teams vying for his services. And it was announced a couple of hours ago that it looks like the Giants are out of the bidding for Lester. So he's going to go to either the Chicago Cubs or the Boston Red Sox. Not good for the Giants. But, hey, listen, man, we can't get greedy. We won a World Series last year. We got a couple of holes to fill. I'm sure Brian Sabean will do a good job. He's got the rest of the week. Things are going to happen, but no Jon Lester for the San Francisco Giants this year. Anyway, as always, we got a big show tonight. The first thing I want to say up top is we're running a special. If you decide to become a VIP member during this podcast, you'll get a special price of $2.99, an introductory price of $2.99. I believe that's about 75 cents a week to try the VIP. All you have to do is put in the code word Swerve Live during this broadcast. So that's $2.99 introductory Swerve Live. You'll get all the frills that come with being a VIP member. I guess, I have to talk about what everybody's talking about in the wrestling world today, even though it's not the wrestling world. But I guess I got to talk about the CM Punk situation and his new contract with UFC. First of all, let me say this. I worked with CM Punk for a very short period of time when TNA first started back in the old days of the Asylum. In Nashville, Tennessee. And I remember, I got to give credit where credit is due because Raven was the one that used to rave about this guy, CM Punk. Punk. Keep in mind, this is 10, 12 years ago. So, we brought CM Punk into TNA, and he was a fine talent. He was a great talent. I only got to work with him for a short period of time. Honestly, I didn't know he was going to turn into the legend. I guess it's fair to say now that he has it, 36 years old, which says a lot for the guy. But anyway, we know last week he had that interview with Colt Cabana. Everybody talked about it. Now, over this past weekend at the UFC fights, it was made official that CM Punk has signed a contract with UFC. First of all, I said it on my blog. I'll say it again. Good for CM Punk. Congratulations to anybody in life, anybody out there, you that has a goal and you go out and you achieve your goal. You chase your dreams and you make them come true. CM Punk wanted to become a UFC fighter. I think he hinted to that quite a bit in the interview with Cabana. He went out, he met with Dana White, they had their meeting, they signed their contract, and the guy's going to see his dream come to fruition. Great for CM Punk. I'm ecstatic for CM Punk. I want to address first those people. I read the blogs and the comments and all this jazz, and it perturbs me. I don't even know Punk, but it perturbs me when there are actually some people that refer to CM Punk as a quitter because he walked away from his job at WWE and he walked away from the fans and yada, yada, yada. Please, nobody, I don't care what your occupation out there is in life. It doesn't matter. Nobody should have to work a job where they're miserable. And when you listen to the Punk interview with Colt, he was clearly miserable at the end of his WWE days. What do you want the guy to do? You want the guy to be miserable and live his life miserable so he could make the house show in Poughkeepsie and you could cheer for him? Give me a break. The guy was miserable. The guy left. He chose not to be miserable anymore. He wanted to be happy, so he left. Good for CM Punk. I did the same thing at TNA. I did the same thing at TNA, not on one, but on 2 occasions. Things got unbearable for me. I got up. I left. Nobody should have to do something that makes them unhappy. So anybody that calls CM Punk a quitter, you're out of your mind. It's that simple. Secondly, I want to say this. The WWE, I'm going to say the WWE. I'm not going to say the wrestling industry because right now, TNA isn't in the game. They're going to have to get in the game to be part of that wrestling industry. We'll see what happens on Destination America. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to watch the first show when it comes on, and I'm going to look at it with open eyes. And hope they do well. But at the end of the day, I'm going to call a spade a spade. But right now, they're not even in the wrestling game. There's one team in the wrestling game right now, and it's the WWE. And I'm telling you, man, they better be careful for a couple of reasons. And I'll tell you this, and this has nothing to do with the atrocity on Monday nights. I'm not even going to get into that. This is business. This is strictly business. Now, from what I'm reading, UFC, you know, I've read the statement, they're going to be going after more wrestlers. And I got to tell you, if that's the case, WWE better wake up, because I'll tell you what, they've put so much concentration and so much effort and all their eggs in that WWE network basket that they've taken their eyes off of what really matters. And what really matters is they have a 3-hour show every Monday night that everything pulls from. Everything pulls from Raw. Your network sales, your merch sales, your house show tickets, everything. Pay-per-view buys, they still sell pay-per-view. It all depends on how many people watch your show on Monday night, okay? Monday night is awful right now. All the talk and all the concentration is being put on the WWE network. And I'm going to tell you something. The more and more and more the ratings go down, as they did again yesterday, okay, the less and less and less money the WWE makes. Now, with that, the less and less and less and less money the WWE makes, guess what that equates to? The less and less and less and less money WWE talent makes, the wrestlers make. So now if all of a sudden UFC capitalizes off this CM Punk signing, and they will. The first time Punk appears on pay-per-view, it's going to do phenomenal. They're going to make some money. If Punk wins that fight, the next one will make even more. And now all of a sudden, you know, UFC is starting to make a little bit more money. WWE is starting to make a little less money. All of a sudden, UFC says we're going to start going after WWE wrestlers, and we're going to entice them to come to UFC, and we're going to offer them more money. Guess what? Now Vince is involved in the same game that he put those regional promoters through when he took the game over from his father back in the 80s. Now the tables have turned. As the revenue continues to come down in the WWE and professional wrestling, and UFC with Punk, if they start growing again and there's more money there and they start going after a wrestling pool, you know, Brock Lesnar could go back to UFC next month. Dave Bautista may decide that he wants to go to UFC if it's enough money. I'm telling you, this WWE, the eyes off the ball. All they're worried about is this network right now, and it shows by the effort putting into Monday night. And with this Punk signing, this is big. It might not appear big right now. It's one guy, but I'm telling you, one guy Mike Tyson, when he was banned from professional wrestling for chewing on Holyfield's ear, one guy was the start of the Attitude Era. Vince McMahon knew the fans want to see Tyson. They can't see him in a boxing ring. We're going to put him on our show, and they're going to come and they're going to see Tyson in a wrestling ring. That was the start of the Attitude Era. And don't doubt me, I was there. I saw it happen. Dana White has just done the same thing. CM Punk doesn't want to compete in Vince McMahon's wrestling ring. I'll bring him over here to UFC. I'll take advantage of his name and his brand. I'll blow the roof off of it. And now all those people are going to be tuning into UFC. So if you really look at this picture closely, Vince is getting a little dose of his own medicine here. And I'm telling you, man, this wrestling business better wake the frig up. You know, people are going to stop watching it if it doesn't improve. You know, if you're a lifelong WWE fan, you're going to stay there. You're going to watch it. You're going to watch it. You're going to watch it. I tell the story many times. One year, the Giants lost 100 games, and they lost their 100th game on the last game of the season. I was such a dedicated Giant fan. I watched that game. I watched them lose their 100th game because I was such a dedicated Giant fan. I think the WWE has so many fans, or the fans that are left, hanging on, waiting for something good to happen, but they're only going to hang on for so long. They got to put their eyes back on the prize, and the prize is that showcase on Monday nights. And if UFC starts invading the WWE and getting wrestlers to come over and join them, we have a little bit of a problem on our hands, which is a perfect segue for me. And that mini rant was brought to you by, let me just give my sponsor the love here, myfaceonafigure.com. And with Christmas coming up, who doesn't want an action figure of themselves? Buy me one. If you want to send me a gift for all the entertainment value I give you every week, send me a My Face on a Figure action figure. Send me one. You could get my picture off of YouTube. Get me one on YouTube or Google or whatever the heck. Take a picture. Well, that's all they need. They need a picture of my face. You send it to them. Put me on Batman for sure. And then, you design the packaging. Send me an action figure of myself. It's the best gift for the holidays that anybody can get. But talking about my concerns with the wrestling business, that's why there's a breath of fresh air. There is hope for me. And that hope for me is called Lucha Underground. And I've watched this show now for 6 consecutive weeks. And I will say last week's 6th show was the best show of the series. So it's getting better as it goes along. It's getting better as it progresses, as it should. This is a breath of fresh air. This is a different presentation of wrestling. Now, granted, they're on the El Rey network. They're not on the USA network. It's going to take a matter of time before people know who they are, know where they are, and tune in and watch this program. But I'll tell you what, I know this for a fact. Their greatest form of advertising is going to be word of mouth. Because when you watch this show, and you're a wrestling fan or a sports entertainment fan, you see things on this show you don't see anywhere else. And I'll tell you why, because nobody else has the balls to do it. It's that simple. They don't have the balls to book a match, a man against a woman. They don't have the balls to do that. They don't have the balls to book a man against a mini. They don't have the balls to book Exotico matches. And if you want to know what Exotico is, you got to watch Lucha Underground to believe it. But my guest on this show, I went after this guy. I never met him. Never met this guy, never had a conversation with him, was so impressed by this show. I'm like, I got to get this guy for this show. His name is Chris DeJoseph. They call him DJ, DeJoseph, DJ. Chris DeJoseph. He is a co-executive producer of Lucha Underground and also the head writer of the show. After this commercial break, you're going to hear my interview with Chris DeJoseph. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to what this guy says. This is a 34-year-old guy that knows what the frig he's talking about when it comes to professional wrestling, sports entertainment, and entertaining the people. 34 years old. I want you to listen to this kid. I want you to listen closely, and I'll be back to comment on it after the interview. So Chris DeJoseph, DJ, right after these words. The Swerve is brought to you by myfaceonafigure.com, where you can literally become your own action figure. Look, if you're a collector of wrestling figures, this is a no-brainer. Bring yourself to life in the wrestling world and go up against some of the biggest names in the business. And of course, Christmas is coming up. Surprise your friend or loved ones with their very own figure from myfaceonafigure.com. That's myfaceonafigure.com. Tell them Vince Russo sent you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Swerve. I'm excited about this next guest because it wasn't until tonight that I met him for the first time, and I pursued this guy. I went after this guy. I wanted this guy on my show because before I bring him on, I got to give the big intro first. I got to put it over. Look, let me say this clear. I'm going to look right into the camera. I usually look at myself. I'm going to look right into the camera. I'm going to say, look, Vince Russo does not hate wrestling. Okay? Did you get that? I do not hate wrestling. What I hate is a bad wrestling show. What I hate is a wrestling show that I feel no effort has been put into it and the people are going through the motions. What I hate is a wrestling show that is boring, is a wrestling show that is painful for me to watch. That's what I hate. And if it's bad, I'm going to freaking say it's bad. I'm sorry. Vince Russo expects more out of professional wrestling simply because of what I put into it, what people before me put into it when I was a fan. I expect more. So if that show on Monday night that's 3 hours long puts me to sleep, it puts me to sleep because it puts me to sleep, not because I hate wrestling. And here's the proof that I don't hate wrestling. About 6 months ago, this little show comes along, Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground. Now listen, I'll be the first one to admit, I know Lucha Libras that have been around forever, and I've never been a huge Lucha Libre fan. I haven't been. I'm not a in-ring wrestling guy. I'm the entertainment around it guy. You know all that. But my boy Conan's involved in this show. So, Conan was on the show and said, Vince, you gotta check out this show. So I'm gonna support my buddy Conan, but it's probably just a Lucha Libre show, guys in mask and flashy costumes, flip-flopping and flying. I'm going to watch the show. I watched the first episode of this show, the first episode. And within the first 15 minutes of this show, it's like no other wrestling show I've ever seen before. None. Even Vince Russo creative shows have not been like this. And I got to tell you, listen, because I'm not a wrestling guy, I usually fast forward through the wrestling matches. Get me to the finish. Let me see what the finish is. The way these matches are laid out and shot on Lucha Underground, listen, you're seeing camera shots you never saw before in wrestling. You're seeing fast cuts. Boom, 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 boom. They cut these matches in such a way that you feel like you're riding on a runaway train. It's not that one hard camera where you're seeing the same shot for 20 minutes. It's shot, boom, 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 overhead, shots you've never seen. So like all of a sudden now, I'm interested in the wrestling matches. And now, listen, I can go on and on and on, and I'm going to, but I got to bring this guy on first. He's the co-executive producer of this show, and his name is Chris DeJoseph. Chris, are you there?
I'm here, Vince. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it, and really appreciate your support of Lucha Underground, and I'm glad you like it.
Hey, Chris, I just gave myself a headache with that open, putting it over.
It was nothing but sweet to my ears, though, Vince. It was. I really appreciate it, and yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be different. Lucha Underground is different, and we're just not a run of the mill wrestling show. We wanted to change the game, and that's what we're trying to do.
Chris, I want to break down certain segments here of Lucha Underground, and we're going to have a great conversation because there's something I got to tell you that literally blew me away, and if this doesn't tell people out there that they've got to watch this show, they've got to jump on this gravy train. The first place I want to start, Chris, and I want to get your opinions on all this because the beauty of it is, for people that don't know DJ, he worked as a writer in the WWE for 7 years. So he worked there first before he had this opportunity. So he can compare the two. The first thing that stands out with Lucha Underground, the very first thing, is the backstage vignettes that we have been seeing the same thing for the last 30 years. Nothing has changed. As a matter of fact, they're going backwards. They're not even progressing and getting better. They're going backwards to now where you put on a WWE show for 3 hours, all the vignettes take place in one office. They don't even bother to leave the office anymore. Everything happens in this one office. Literally, it couldn't be any more boring to me. This Lucha Underground, these backstage vignettes are like, it's like you're watching a movie. It's shot on film. There's background music. There's real acting. The camera shots are amazing. You literally feel like you are watching a movie. This isn't the wrestling show I saw a million times before. Chris, I would love to know your first impression when you shot one of those very first films for Lucha Underground and you're thinking of what you've been seeing in wrestling since you were a kid.
Well, it was a work in progress, and it built over time. We tried a lot of different things. We knew right away coming into the show that we didn't want to do the traditional one camera floating around everywhere. I think of like a Raw a couple of weeks ago that I saw. There's like 7 guys on the Survivor Series team, and they're in the office, and they're all standing next to each other, looking the same way, and it's like, nobody has a conversation like that. It's, especially a bunch of monsters in one ring. I think it's like Russo standing next to Kane and Triple H is there and everybody is like shoulder to shoulder right up next to each other, touching each other. It's just like, it's so weird. And I think it's a fan. You watch that, but you can't put your finger on it. So immediately we wanted to go to 2-camera shoot and we started just to shoot these in regular video. And we watched them and they looked cool and they had a telenovela kind of look to them and feel to them, but Eric Van Wagenen, our executive producer, and Skip Chasen, who is a brilliant editor and filmmaker and edits all of Robert's trailers and has his own company and has just done amazing work. And John Fogelman, who is president of El Rey Network and one of our executive producers, said basically what happened is we shot this Prince Puma vignette on film where we were introducing the character of Prince Puma with Conan, and after seeing that and comparing it to the backstage scenes, we decided let's do it all like that. and give everything like that cinematic look. And I'll tell you, those guys made the right call, and they nailed it out of the park. Because I know some people have said, oh, it's different. I think it is different. It's weird, and it should make you feel uncomfortable, because for 30 years you've been ingrained with, this is the way you have to watch professional wrestling. This is a drama. This is a comedy. This is a television show, and we want to present wrestling like any other shows presented, like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or any of those shows, and treat it with the respect that it deserves.
It's so funny. It's so funny, DJ, that you mentioned that, because, bro, like and again, I said this in the VIP section. I'm just older than you, DJ. I'm 20 years older than you, but I know you've got a rich wrestling background in history like I do. I've just been around longer. But, bro, when I watch these shows, wrestling, yeah, I'm always looking for something different, because I'm begging for something different, bro. And I noticed the little things. This past show, which was the best episode, it was episode 6. They're on their 6th show now. It was called The Key. Far and away the best episode by far, which tells you the show's getting better. But there was the first segment of the show, I believe it was Johnny Mundo and Dorian Cueto, and they're having this conversation, and they're talking back and forth. And bro, there was this one shot where Cueto smokes, he takes a puff out of his cigar. I mean, I don't know if it's a cigar or a cigarette, it doesn't matter. But then he blows out the smoke, and bro, the camera shot was just the smoke. And yeah. I'm like, bro, you would have never, ever, 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 ever seen something that simple in a wrestling show. And I'm like, you're watching a movie here, bro.
Yeah, I mean, there's very simple things like him throwing his rocks in his glass, or just those little elements and little pieces of business that are picked up in those vignettes. It makes it beautiful, and it makes it artistic, and I think it makes it a real TV show, a real drama, and that's what we're trying to throw out there, something different.
Now, I got to ask you this, Chris. This is another interesting question I have, and I brought it up in my intro to you. Bro, wrestling matches have been shot the same way since I was a kid, since I can remember, and it's primarily hard camera. You'll get the handheld here and there, but that you always go to the hard camera shot. That's why I hate to watch wrestling matches. The WWE makes them too long because they're trying to eat up 3 hours. What haven't you already seen in a wrestling match? Bro, the way you guys shoot these matches with the quick camera cuts, boom, boom, different camera angles we never saw before, it makes the matches not only look different, but fly by. Bro, do these people that are literally shooting the matches and the director who's calling the cuts, do they have any wrestling background whatsoever? Or are they basically shooting a wrestling match just like it's part of a television show?
Absolutely. I mean, most of our cameramen and women are reality show camera people. I mean, they've done, from Survivor and from The Voice and from all over the place, and they've come on to the show. This is their first experience in wrestling. The directors, the lighting, I mean, everybody, this is their first go in wrestling, and it's fun because everybody's really excited about it, and it was good because people look at it with a fresh set of eyes. It's funny, is like Vince used to always tell me when I worked at WWE, first day on the job, you got to treat it like it's your first day on the job. And literally, when we came to this show, it was everybody's first day on the job, and it was cool to develop the ideas and to have people throw out different ideas. And I mean, I think we've got 9 or 10 different cameras, and we'd like to even add some more down the line, just to give this show a different feel. And the editors really, they do a tremendous job with the footage and everything that they've got to try to make this tell this story and make the show beautiful. Chris,
I hope that nobody on staff at Lucha Underground. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's a producer, director, film editor, cameraman. Bro, I hope they never, ever, ever watch a traditional wrestling show, because God forbid they watch a traditional wrestling show and think that's the way we have to do it. So I hope they never, ever watch a wrestling show and just continue to do what they're doing. Now, Chris, I want to walk you through an angle, step by step, that has blown me away. Okay. And I want to have, and it's so great, bro, that you worked for the WWE for 7 years as a writer, longer than I had, bro. God bless you. You tacked on another 2 years when I was spent at 5. But it's so great that you and I can have this conversation because you were there. Okay, Chris, I've watched every episode of the show. Okay, and I think, I think it was in the very, very first episode, okay? And what happened in the very first episode was, I'm trying to think where it originated. Oh yeah. Here's what happened first, Chris. There is a intergender match on the first show, and it's a man and a woman against a man and a woman. Lo and behold, the men are allowed to wrestle the women. So the men don't have to tag out to the woman if the woman's in the ring. I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like, holy crap. Because, Chris, my fight forever has been, these female wrestlers are competitors. They're world-class athletes. In their minds, they believe that they can compete with men. That's how you want to portray women in wrestling. And bro, they used to beat the crap out of me, bro, especially Spike TV, because Spike TV looked at it as man on woman violence. We can't have that with all the domestic violence going on in the world. And I said, they're wrestlers. They're world-class athletes. So the first time I'm seeing women compete with men, I'm literally blown away. And I'm going to carry on this my train of thought, but bro, was there any lashback or pushback whatsoever by the wrestlers, by the TV executives, by anybody when this was laid out and this was sold?
Well, first of all, never by the wrestlers. The wrestlers were 100% on board with doing this, and it really kind of came from the idea that Robert Rodriguez in his movies. And if you even look at like modern movies today, and I mean that's what this is about. I mean, we're a TV show, right? And you look at the strong female characters that are out there. I mean, in Machete, in Kill Bill, Black Widow in the Avengers, or Laura Croft in Tomb Raider.
Bro, what about Rose McGowan? Remember she played in that one with the one leg? Remember?
Yeah, exactly. And you even look at Game of Thrones with like Arya Stark and Brienne of Tarth. Like, these are women that fight with men, and nobody says a thing about it when they watch it on those shows. And for some reason, I think we just had the idea that, this is 2014 and we want to empower women. We want strong female characters that kick ass and that go out there and show their all and aren't just, out there to made to look like fools. We want them to look strong and have real characters and be real competitors that want to compete with everybody and create a very equal playing field. And not only for women, but for little people, for eventually you see transgender people and make everything in Lucha Underground a equal playing field where anyone can come to fight and hash it out if they want to.
I'm gonna continue my train of thought because you guys progressed this to an unbelievable level over 6 weeks. But I gotta ask you this, Chris, and you know it's a legitimate question because you worked for the WWE for 7 years. You know where I'm coming from, bro. So first of all, I'm blown away that this match is even taking place. But I'm thinking, all right, bro, they're gonna present it this way. Because I'm so jaded, they're not really going to have the men wrestle the women. Yeah, then all of a sudden, okay, bro, the men are wrestling the women. And bro, here's the thing that blew me away. And this I got to ask you, Chris. Bro, the men are selling for the women. Chavo Guerrera, a veteran of the ring, is selling for a woman. Bro, when you guys are in the back and you're putting this match together, was there anything from the part of the female wrestlers having an issue with selling for these women?
No, the male wrestlers had no problem with it, and that was kind of the idea. We went in there, and everybody was kind of on the same page about it. Let's present these women as really strong, powerful women. As much as other wrestling companies can say that they have strong, powerful, confident, tough women, I just don't think that's the case in other promotions. And for this show, we wanted to have portray our women for what they are. I mean, they are literally strong and powerful. I would never want to get in the ring in a real fight with Sexy Star or Evilise. I mean, they would knock the hell out of me. I mean, I've been hit by a woman before, and I would always sell. So,
hey, Chris, I got to tell you, and I got to chime in and disagree there because, bro, I think I would let Evilise whip my backside and freaking love every second of it and beg her for more. But hey, Chris, I want to go on with this. So now you have this match, and I'm already hooked on this show because now the rules are out the window. I'm already hooked, bro. Then we come to the end of the show, right? Chavo Guerrera has lost his mind. Chavo Guerrera has turned heel during the course of the hour, okay?
Yes.
Now, Sexy Star, who you spoke about, was his tag partner in the match we just saw, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sexy Star comes down to the ring to talk her partner down, to talk Chavo off the cliff, right, bro? Bro, because I'm so jaded, like I'm not thinking anything of this, okay, bro? Chavo turns around and lays this Sexy Star out on the back with a freaking steel chair. The guy lays the girl out with a steel chair. She's out cold. She's dead. Bro, this was the first episode of Lucha Underground. And I'm sitting there saying, oh my God, I can't believe what a breath of fresh air. They're treating her like an athlete. They're treating her like an equal. It's scripted. It's a television show. Nobody's getting hurt. But to take it to that level in the first show, bro, you had me hooked from there.
You watch the Avengers, and if Loki were to take out Black Widow, nobody would think twice about it. But we thought we rolled the dice and wanted to see what the reaction were and was, and it really, in a way, I will tell you this: I think Sexy Star is probably one of our most over characters on this show, and I think that's partially due to that, and due to the Chavo Guerrero character.
Well, so Chris, now I'm still jaded. Now I'm like, okay, great. So I'm watching week 2, right? So now, bro, week 2, Sexy Star comes out and cuts a promo, and we got subtitles underneath, which I think is great. I never saw subtitles before on a wrestling show. But, bro, she's cutting a promo on Chavo Guerrera, right? So I figured, bro, like, this is how you guys are going to put the button on it. You know what I'm saying? He hit her with a chair. Now she's going to go out and she's going to cut a promo on the guy. But it's like, where are you really going to go with this, right? Bro, the next week, Sexy Star has a match with Chavo Guerrera. And I'm just like, bro, at this point, this is the best thing I've ever seen in wrestling, right? But, Chris, this is where I want to give you and everybody at Lucha. This is the biggest compliment I can honestly give you, Chris, and I mean this. This past week on the Key, which was episode 6, I felt it was the best episode to date. It had everything that you could ever want, okay? There was another mixed tag match. You might have to help me with the names. I think it was Chavo and Pentagon Jr. against Sexy Star and Phoenix, correct?
You got it. You got it, man.
Okay. So another mixed gender match, okay? Chris, I'm sorry that I'm talking a lot because I really want to hear you talk, but I want you to understand somebody who's been in the wrestling business for 23 years, okay? So, bro, they're having this match. Here's the first thing that pops off the page. The heels get Sexy Star in their corner. And now not one guy, but 2 guys are beating the crap out of Sexy Star. Bro, they're giving her the boot to the throat. I mean, the 2 guys, the whole 9 yards, right? So then, bro, Sexy Star makes the big comeback, this, that, and the other thing, right? She finally gets to tag the Phoenix in. They start getting a little bit of heat on Phoenix. Bro, now the crowd is working up to Phoenix giving Sexy Star the hot tag. Bro,
Oh, yeah.
You're giving the girl the hot tag, which to me is freaking incredible. The people are going crazy. They want Sexy Star to get the hot tag, right? Bro,
Absolutely.
They give her the hot tag. She cleans house on Chavo and Pentagon. Boom, boom, boom. Does this spot, bro, over the top rope, takes these guys out. Here's the compliment, Chris. And bro, if this doesn't tell you everything about this show to everybody that's listening to this, Chris, by the time we got to the end of that match, I completely forgot that Sexy Star was a female.
Yeah.
Bro, I completely forgot. I got so caught up in the match, and everything she did is what a guy would have done. She looks freaking great. She looks dramatic. Bro, I'm sitting there and I forgot I'm watching a girl. I cannot give you or that show or her or the other guys involved in that match any higher praise than that.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure that the talent involved appreciate that. They really told one hell of a story in the ring, and that was really our objective this entire time. Is that Sexy Star or any other luchadora on our show is not just seen as just a female, but it's seen as a competitor, and it's great that you do. You really hit the nail on the head. I wish I could have expressed that because I watch them back myself, and it's been a while since we taped some of them. So to watch them back at home and see that you do forget that Sexy Star is a woman, and I think that's a good thing. That hot tag to Sexy Star, that's what you want to see. That's when you know you got a baby face that's getting white hot.
Well, you know what it is, Chris, and working for the WWE, bro, it's so simple. It's all about attitude and passion, bro. And Evilise, she smacked guys around on that show. I've seen her smack guys around, but these girls have a real freaking attitude, bro, and they have a real passion for what they're doing. And, like I said, bro, I don't mean to punish the WWE. I really don't. But when you watch that show, you're not feeling that passion. You're not feeling that attitude. And in the hour of Lucha Underground, that's all you're feeling, bro. You're feeling an attitude, a passion for what they're doing, and you're feeling like everybody involved wants this show the best that it could actually be. Bro, and then you go ahead and you have men facing minis. The same thing, bro. And, as a casual fan, all of a sudden now I'm stopping and I'm watching a television show because I never saw wrestling presented this way. The only thing I concern myself a little with, Chris, and I like to ask you this question is every week for 6 weeks now, you've managed to do something different. And I'm going to get to something else in a minute. I just got another train. But what I'm afraid of, bro, do you think you will be able to keep that up on a weekly basis with these fresh and original ideas? Like I said, bro, first you had the men on women in a tag. Then you got a singles match, men on women. Then you got a mini against a man. Then you've got Pimpinella, who's an exotico, bro. This is all within the first 6 weeks. All stuff we've never saw before. Bro, I love the idea that you gave that street fight a different name, which didn't make it seem like a street. What was it? Shaker Heights?
No, Boyle Heights.
Boyle Heights. There was a Boyle Heights, because it was called Boyle Heights, it wasn't a street fight. But are you mentioned something a little bit earlier about, transgender. Do you think you're going to be able to keep coming up with fresh, innovative ways on a weekly basis to do wrestling differently?
I do. I really do. I think we can continue as long as we continue to tell good stories. I think that that we can continue to present this show differently. I mean, we have just so many things that are coming down the pipeline that we're gonna push the envelope. Vince, you say dare to be different and don't stay safe, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to push the envelope. We might hit some home runs, we might strike out a few times, but we're gonna go for it. And we're going to try to really go at it and really give something fresh. Granted, I will say for these first few, we stacked the deck. I mean, we went hard because we're trying to make an impression. We're trying to show the world what we can do, and trying to show the world that the talent on Lucha Underground is second to none, and that they can deliver storylines and matches that are the best in the world.
Yeah. You know what, Chris, and two things. Like one thing like that really blew me away too. First of all, bro, for whatever reason in the WWE, they don't fight in the back anymore. Nobody fights in the back. Fights only take place in a wrestling ring, okay? And here's the funny thing, Chris, bro, with all the research I've done in my 23 years, if there is a fight other than in the wrestling ring, it always draws a higher rating. Always. 100% of the time, because if a casual fan doesn't care about wrestling, they're not going to watch a wrestling match. If there's a fight going on in the parking lot, they're going to watch a fight. Yep. And it's so basic and elementary that these chuckleheads don't get it. But there's only fights take place in the ring. Bro, a couple of weeks ago, again, and this is a little other thing you do different, Chris. There's a fight in the back with Johnny Mundo, and I think that those two henchmen, bro, Cisco and Cortez. Bro, you got to respect the way I remember all these names.
You're pretty good, Vince. I tell you, you got them all down.
Bro, Cisco and Cortez, they attacked this Johnny Mundo in the back, right? Chris, how many wrestling fights have you and I seen combined in our life, bro?
Too many.
Too many. Bro, Johnny Mundo and these two guys, they had a fight like it was a movie fight. It wasn't a wrestling fight, bro. It could have been Stallone. It could have been Schwarzenegger. It could have been Van Damme. I never saw a fight in wrestling that looked like an actual freaking fight. How is it that non-wrestling people figured that out by week 3?
I think it was a bunch of people trying to create something great and to try to do something different and make it look different. I mean, it's almost like there's two worlds that exist in Lucha Underground. There's the in-ring thing that's happening, and then this kind of universe of these backstage film things are happening. And you'll notice that they do tell the same story, but they've kind of exist in their own little worlds at the same time too.
Hey, Chris, I want to know who came up with this, bro. Chris, because bro, This is the smallest thing that was the biggest thing to me. The biggest thing, bro, we got the films in the back. We got the girls fighting the guys, the minis fighting the guys. We got Pimpinella. We got all this going on, bro, okay? This one little thing to me was the smartest thing that you guys put into play, and something this simple, bro, makes all the difference in the world. I want to know where it originated from. And again, bro, how I don't know what goes through the minds of Vince McMahon and Triple H and all these wrestling people that it takes, the guy who created Survivor and the guy who directed Machete to come up with these ideas. In the first episode, bro, you guys made the statement that a count out or a disqualification is at the referee's discretion, bro.
Yeah.
And you put that into play every single week. Chris, I don't even know if anybody picked that up, but
you did.
Being in wrestling for 23 years, that's the most ingenious thing you guys could have done, and you put that into play every single week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it enables us to tell a little bit better story, and the way that we looked at this was, and I think it might have been Stryker and I kind of talking about what this is and why certain things were allowed and certain things weren't. And I might have even just chimed in his ear, or he said something. It's like, hey, in Lucha Underground, this is a fight club. Everybody's welcome to fight. And, it's the referee's discretion whether he wants to cause a disqualification. I think Drago jumped off a referee's back, and we're wondering to ourselves, like, wow, is that a disqualification? But in Lucha Underground, no, it's those kinds of things are allowed, and it did. I think it does open us up for a little bit different look, a little bit different attitude, and a little bit different way to present our show and do things differently.
Chris, you got all the clout in the world over there. You're the co-executive producer. You're the writer. You got it all going on over there. Bro, there's one thing you guys got to do. And I know you can make this happen.
Okay. I'm not going to promise anything.
You can make this happen. Come on, bro. You're the big head honcho over there. But it's simple. And I think when I tell you, you're going to say, yeah, I don't know why we're not doing that, right? Bro, I love when all the guys come out, and I love they come out from different places and they all have different entrances and everything. You put on, the lower third, you got that little graphic and you got their name in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, do you know, I've watched 6 shows now, right? Bro, they've mentioned the ring announcer, Melissa Santos, by name one time. That's it. That's it, bro. If you didn't pick it up that one time, you don't even know what this girl's name is. Bro, at the beginning of the show, you got to give Melissa Santos a lower third. Bro, this girl, I don't know how old she is. I don't know her background. I don't know where she's from. I don't know if she's an actress. I don't know what. This girl is going to be a huge star. I'm telling you, I know when people are going to be big. This girl is freaking gorgeous. Bro, I don't know what her background is. She's the best ring announcer I've heard. She obviously gets it. But bro, we gotta know who this girl is, because this girl's freaking stunning.
Vince, it's done. I'll make sure I take care of it. I thought we mentioned her name plenty of times. I always thought Matt and Vamp threw to her, but we will.
Oh, bro,
we will. I know what a fan you are of Melissa, so I'll make sure we take care of that for her. I'll tell you, she is pretty amazing. We actually. We had some auditions for ring announcers, and Melissa showed up, and she had some wrestling experience. I think in WoW, which is like kind of like a modern glow that they were trying to do, and she had some experience, and we thought, wow, this is a beautiful, talented, confident girl, and she could really nail the part, and at the same time, we may be able to use her down the road to do other things. So I think the sky's the limit with Melissa, for sure.
Well, if you guys put her name in the lower third, can you like just tell her personally that I made that happen?
I will. I will let
Okay.
her know, and you can probably let her know. I'm sure eventually.
She's
You
coming on
should
the
just
show,
tweet
bro.
her.
She's coming on the show in a couple of weeks.
I've heard. I've heard that you got her on the show. That's a much better guest than me.
Nah, I like you, bro. You got a great freaking personality. I couldn't be more happier in the world for you, bro. Especially listen, as somebody who has survived the WWE as you have survived. I couldn't be any more freaking happier for you that you're in this environment. And here's another thing, bro. And like I can't put my finger on this. I honestly can't. Maybe it's because I'm jaded. You know that I worked with Vampiro over at WCW,
Yes.
Bro, I got to tell you something like over at WCW, and again, this was a long time ago. This was a long time ago, a DJ 15 years ago. But bro, Vampiro always had always had the label of being a little bit like of a head case, right? But I gotta be honest with you, bro. I was drawn to the guy 15 years ago. I had a very good relationship with Vampiro because, bro, here's the key word again. I like people that are different. I just like people that are different. Vampiro's different. Bro, I got to tell you, I can't quite put my finger on it. And I don't know if it's because I'm jaded and I like him. But bro, I really enjoy him as a color guy. I think it's you know what the breath of fresh air is with your announce team, bro. I'll tell you right now. Okay. You can put on Monday night, bro. You can put on TNA, and listen, I'm gonna hear it. Taz is my buddy, so I'm gonna hear it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Bro, it's Saturday night at Caroline's. The announcers are trying to pop each other. They're trying to make each other. Bro, JBL, I'm just gonna say this, DJ. He makes me sick. He's constantly putting himself over at the expense of the guys. I don't know if Vince thinks it's funny. I'm sure Vince is feeding him a lot of it. I don't know if Vince is entertained. I've never seen an announcer bury so much talent in a week ever. So they're either burying talent or they're either cutting inside jokes with each other that's not funny and nobody gets. Bro, your announcers stick to business. They're calling the matches. They're getting the talent over. They're doing what announcers need to do. So even though Vampiro doesn't have 10 years experience as an announcer, the fact that he's doing what an announcer is supposed to do is freaking refreshing in this day and age.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Vampiro, he's new to the announcing, and Vampiro, as you know from personal experience, is an interesting cat. He is a, and there's nobody like him I've ever met in my life. And Vampiro has a level of insanity, and in that insanity, you see him make points that are just absolutely brilliant. And you'll notice, I think, over the course of this series and over the course of the next shows, you'll see that Vampiro is even planting seeds himself with the things that he says. And he's just so smart about the business. And that was one of the things. I think the first day I sat down with Stryker and Vampiro, and I told Matt, I said, I want you to call the matches. And I think Matt looked at me like, are you crazy? You don't want me to do like a WWE thing and just tell stories and then talk about other stories during the matches that's going on? Let's talk about the main event that's going to happen on later on. I said, no, Matt, I want you to call the action like a play-by-play guy on sports, or like the way that we used to watch professional wrestling. I want you to tell people about the moves. I want you to talk about, you and Vampiro, to talk about your experience. Relate it to other wrestlers. Tell the history of the business and keep it alive and keep it in that. That's what I've always found refreshing about wrestling. That's one of the things that I always loved about wrestling and made me want to learn more about it, was hearing people talk about, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers or whoever it may be, and making comparisons, even making comparisons to their own time in the ring, and even talking about other wrestling styles that are out there. We're not afraid to talk that other wrestling exists. We understand that we're not the only game in town, and we're embracing wrestling for what it is. We're Lucha Libre, we're Lucha Underground. We know who we are, but there's a whole world out there of wrestling, and there's a lot of fans that are really interested in it. And to completely ignore them and pretend like you're not listening to them, to sell them a Mountain Dew or to get them to, talk about Kathy Lee and Hoda or something like that, or Grumpy Cat. Like we're just not down with that. we're presenting an entertaining product, and that people can be proud to watch, and that want to watch.
And again, listen, Chris, DJ, I've had you here for over 2 hours. I can continue to talk about this product because this, bro, I haven't been excited about wrestling in a long time. Even when I was involved, when I was working for companies, because I wanted to do certain. Yeah, bro, you want to do certain things. You can't do certain things. People are criticizing your work. You got to deal with the network. And Chris, at the end of the day, you wave the white flag, and it's like, you know what, do whatever you freaking want to do. I'm done. So I'm excited about this, bro. I'm so excited about this. And that's why I've had you on for so long. And Chris, I'm just telling you, listen, whoever's working on the show behind the scenes, don't let them watch Raw. Keep them away from television sets. You guys set the standards. Let them freaking learn from you. They obviously can't get it on their own. Let them learn from you, because the product you guys are putting out there now is freaking phenomenal. And bro, as a writer and as somebody that worked with the WWE and Vince, I couldn't be more happier for you that you got this personality, that you got this position. And bro, I can tell by your personality, good things happen to good people. And before all is said and done, bro, you're going to have a very, very, very important name in this business as somebody that had the freaking balls to break the mold and take chances and go out there and do something that was completely different. And bro, I stand up and I applaud for you, and I want you to know that, bro.
Thank you, Vince. It's not just me. There's a lot of people involved with this project that I couldn't do it without. And I mean, I have guys on my writing team like Chris Roach and Matt Stolman and people from Mark Burnett and from the El Rey Network and our executive producer Eric Van Wagner. It's like I feel like I'm giving an Oscar speech right now, Vince. But I just want to say,
no, that's okay. No, bro, listen, put these people over. We need to know them, and you need to put them over.
Yeah, I mean, everybody from El Rey Network, Christine Patois and John Fogelman, and then even Dorian Roldan from Lucha Libre AAA and Conan, like everybody's on board with this. And the talent, I'm telling you, this talent on this roster, they are second to none. And it's funny because we have a bunch of millennials who are going for the brass ring. Go figure,
Yeah, bro. You know what's funny about this? Like, WrestleMania is coming up. And my partner Chris Cash, wants me to go to WrestleMania because everybody's going to be there. Whatever, Vince, we can take advantage of this opportunity, bro. I don't want to go to WrestleMania. I dread going to WrestleMania. I dread even like people thinking I'm there because I'm a fan of the product. I dread that. And bro, let me get this straight. I'm
a just have bad memories of WrestleMania for the most part.
And you know what? DJ, I'm a fan of some of the people. I love Bray Wyatt. I love Paige. I love some of the workers.
Yeah, me too.
Their creative's horrendous. So like I don't even want to go there. But like what I want to do, and me and Chris have talked about this. As a matter of fact, I shot an email to Conan today, and I said to Conan, I said, bro, listen, I want to come down to a television taping. I want to kind of be behind the scenes, see how you guys do all this, watch this, talk to some of the people, the fans in the crowd, whatever. I want to be the first guy to cover this from the inside, because I know, bro, when you're onto something. I know when something's gonna blow up and explode, and it's gonna be Lucha Underground, and that I want to go. I mean, I'm gonna try to work that out, bro. But I want to see how it's done, because just being around it and seeing, how it's done differently from the WWE is going to tell me a lot. So, hopefully, Chris, I'll be able to do that. But I want to make sure you remain a friend on this show, and know, bro, that the door is open for you. Anyone in the company, come on here and promote it anytime you want, because people need to know about this show.
I appreciate it. I really do. And you're more than welcome to come down to Boyle Heights and see our warehouse and see the temple and see where we do things. And you will see a different environment than you see at the WWE. It's a fun environment. And that's really goes back to, our first day. I told everybody, like, I want everyone's input. I want everybody to be a part of this show. I want everybody to have fun doing the show. And I think one of the things I even learned from you and from watching your shows, Vince, that I was always impressed about is you always made every character important. And no matter what level of talent they were or where they were on the roster, they always had a story and always had something happening with them. And I always loved that, and I missed that about wrestling. I mean, even when I was at the WWE, it was a constant struggle to try to pitch things and have everybody have some kind of story. And you can make, I mean, you're a perfect example of it, and you can make everybody on your roster. You can make all of your talent important. You can make them all mean something, and you can give the audience characters that they care about, and you can give people a good television show that they want to sit down and watch every week.
Yeah, Chris, I'm going to wrap this up, but it's like, bro, sometimes when push comes to shove, because you're right, that is so easy to do. You've made everybody on your show matter in the first 6 weeks. So, bro, I'm sitting here. I just named a dozen people to you that obviously I know who they are. I didn't know who they were 6 weeks ago. Even this little chick that's coming down to watch Drago wrestle the last couple of weeks. I got my eye on her too.
Yeah, you
but
should. That's another one to add to the girls that you're in love with on our show.
I'm in love with these girls. But Chris, you know what I think? Because it can be done, and you're doing it. Sometimes I think, bro, and this is what pisses me off, they're lazy, bro. They're just lazy. It's too much work. They don't want to do it. And you know what? It shows on the end product. You can see right through it.
And I think the fans at home can see right through it. And, we're just going to keep plugging along. We're going to keep making a good TV show, and we're going to hopefully keep spreading the word. And with your help on this and with other people, there's people I see every day saying, sending me a message on Twitter or even just tweeting like, hey, I just found Lucha Underground. Oh my God, this is amazing. We're 6 weeks in and people are just finding it. So I think it's going to continue to spread and we're going to continue to keep going. I always tell the talent, and even the talent tells me on our show, and our cast is truly on board for this ride, and they say we're just getting started.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you so much for this time you took with me tonight. I play the show midnight on Tuesday night, but for everybody out there, it's Friday night. Chris could listen. This guy is like this big shot producer now on the ground floor of a show, Lucha Underground, that's about to explode. He could be at some nightclub right now, bro. He lives in LA. He could have these girls hanging all over him right now if that's where he chose to be. But he's here with us on the Swerve. And Chris, I thank you so much. And again, bro, I never met you before, but I'm so glad that a person like you is about to get accolades and accolades and accolades of success and credit that you so deserve.
Thank you, Vince. I really appreciate it. And everybody, please, if you're a fan or just want to give it a try, check out Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network every Wednesday night, or on Unimas on Saturdays at 4, Wednesday nights at 8. And we got a big ladder match coming up this week. So
three-way ladder match, bro.
Oh yeah, it's a real money.
Bro, you want me to tell you who's in a ladder match?
Yeah, tell me. Let's see if you got him down.
Big Rick with a Y.
Yep.
Right? Prince Puma.
You got it.
Johnny Mundo.
You got it, Vince.
$100,000 hanging from the ceiling.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, bro, come on, bro.
Big money, man.
Bro, who's a fan? Come on.
You're a fan. You're the best.
Chris, thank you so much, bro. You're a great guy. You got a great personality. So glad you came on the show, and you will definitely be on again. But thank you so much, bro.
Thanks again, Vince. It was an honor to be on this show. And like I said before, 15-year-old me is just can't believe it right now. So have a good one. Thanks for having me on. It's a great show, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, bro. Do you need a personal trainer? Who doesn't? The problem is half of them don't know what they're talking about, and the other half cost a fortune. But I stumbled across something that amazed me. The program called Muscle Now teaches exactly how to eat and exercise for natural muscle gains, all without worthless supplements or drugs. And best of all, the author of the program becomes your lifetime email personal trainer. This just floored me. I have no idea how he has done this since 1997. He must just never sleep. There are hundreds of amazing testimonials at musclenow.com, and he offers a 90-day full money back guarantee. Visit musclenow.com now to begin building muscle naturally, and use the coupon code New Year Muscle for a special holiday discount. The Swerve is brought to you by myfaceonafigure.com, where you can literally become your own action figure. Look, if you're a collector of wrestling figures, this is a no-brainer. Bring yourself to life in the wrestling world and go up against some of the biggest names in the business. And of course, Christmas is coming up. Surprise your friend or loved ones with their very own figure from myfaceonafigure.com. That's myfaceonafigure.com. Tell them Vince Russo sent you. All right, everybody, we are back live with the Swerve now. A couple of things let me get out of the way, and then we'll get back to business. But again, during the course of this show, for the rest of the length, introductory $2.99 VIP membership. That's 50 cents a week. No, less than 50 cents. Is it 50 cents a week? 75 cents a week. It's late. 75 cents a week. Try out the VIP. Code word Swerve Live. I'd like to thank my two sponsors. I appreciate you guys. MuscleNow.com. My face on a figure. I want to give a shout out to my good friend out there, Josh Hinkle, who's watching me right now on his 32-inch plasma. Every week he tweets me that he's watching me on his 32-inch plasma. Thanks for your support, Josh. I want to bring Chris Cash into the conversation now. And Chris, I hope you're not asleep at the wheel, and when I call you, you can come on.
I'm here, man. What's up, buddy? Good show. Good interview.
Bro, what is that on your chin there?
What's on your chin?
Chris, I got to tell you something about this Lucha Underground. First of all, let me say this. There's another hour plus with Chris DeJoseph on the VIP site. Another hour plus. We talk about his experience in the WWE, how he made the transition to Lucha Underground. It's a great interview. That was a good interview. I'm not saying that to put myself over. Very informative, good interview. Chris, I want to say this, and I want to have a little conversation with you. It is vital that people look for Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network. Look for it. You have to watch and support this show. I'll tell you why. The only way the wrestling business has a chance of joining us here in 2015, and I'm talking about the WWE and I'm talking about TNA. The only chance they have of joining us in the here and now, and not in 1990 with the wrestling they put on, is to watch this show. Because this show is written and produced by television people. It is a television show. It is wrestling presented in 2015 on a television show. And the only way that WWE or TNA is going to change is to watch this product. And the fans need to watch this product and support this product, so as a whole, we can make wrestling relevant again. The wrestling you watch on Monday nights, it's irrelevant. It's old school. It's not over anymore. We have to bring it up to speed. It's the same thing we did with the Attitude Era. All we did was bring the product up to speed. Lucha Underground has to set the way. They have to show them how it's done. You've got to watch this show and support it. What do you think about that, Chris?
No, I agree, and I don't know what their numbers have been doing, but clearly I feel like they already are. I feel like they came out of the gate with something that was very innovative and creative, unique, and that's what they're doing. I mean, week in and week out, they continue to raise the bar for themselves. And Vince, you mentioned it to him. We talked about it with him off the air. I hope we get the chance to get down there, get behind the scenes, see how it operates, because, I look forward to it every week, and obviously you look forward to it every week, and more fans need to as well.
Hey, Chris, I want to share this story with you, and I didn't even tell you this story yesterday, okay? But, bro, this is just an example of how wrestling and people in wrestling think a certain way, and they can't get out of the freaking wrestling box. And it drives me absolutely crazy, because every problem in wrestling today is because they're stuck in the wrestling box. They're stuck in the wrestling bubble, and they can't see beyond it. And they need to pop the freaking bubble and look out what's happening in the real world. I didn't tell you this story yesterday, Chris. I want to tell you now, because it's something this small that shows you how, they just don't get it, okay? I had a conversation with John Gaborik yesterday, okay? And John Gaborik explained to me for the first time yesterday, there was a big to-do at the end of my last TNA run as a consultant. And one, the nail in the coffin, Chris, was the fact of the matter that I did JR's podcast. They didn't like the fact that I did JR's podcast, okay? They never told me why. They never told me why they didn't want me to do it. They just didn't want me to do it, okay? So finally, I got the answer from John yesterday. Don't get me wrong, Chris. We're 5 months too late. But I finally get the answer yesterday from John. And John said this to me, okay? I didn't want you to do JR's show because you're the writer of the show. You're not a wrestler on the show. We don't want a writer promoting or talking about TNA. And he went on to tell me, I learned that from Vince McMahon. It's not about you, Vince. You know what, Chris? It's that kind of thinking that sets the tone for how they don't get it across the board. When you look at television today and you look at shows like The Writer's Room, more and more and more and more, they talk to these writers of television shows. You as a television viewer, you want to learn how these shows are put together. The writers of the shows are becoming stars, and rightfully so, bro. It's harder to write a freaking show than it is to act in one. End of story. Period. So the writers should get attention, and the writers should be the stars in their own right, and television is changing now. Bro, I got to tell you, Chris, I don't know if you ever saw True Detectives on HBO. Did you ever see that?
No.
Chris, you know what was the greatest thing about this show, bro? They had the episode, right? They aired the episode on HBO, right, bro? When the episode was over, they had the writers recap the show to you and explain to you why they did certain things. Bro, it was so insightful and so compelling because now you saw behind the television show. That's the evolution of freaking TV. When you're going to sit there and think, oh, only wrestlers can promote our show. This guy, Chris DeJoseph, bro, this kid's a rock star. 34 years old. This guy, bro, I'm telling you, at 35 years old, knows more about television than anybody I ever worked with. Anybody. No, I want to take that back. Ed knew a lot about television because Ed wrote television before, he started writing wrestling. He wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Weird Science, stuff like that. Outside of Ed Ferrara, this Chris DeJoseph knows more about television than any Spike executive I spoke to. I could tell you that right now. And everybody else I ever worked with creatively, and I'm not going to mention names because I'm just going to get heat. You know who I worked with creatively. I don't need to tell you. This freaking kid, this DeJoseph kid, is a freaking rock star. How would you not want this 34-year-old kid out promoting and selling and talking about your show? Did you see freaking any representatives from Lucha Underground or the El Rey Network call us and say, oh, you can't have this 34-year-old sharp as a tack writer on the show because he's just a writer and it's not about him? It's things like that, bro. Until they stop their freaking archaic way of thinking, the wrestling business is not going to change.
Well, and I agree with you. I think a good example is Walking Dead. Don't they have something that they do afterward? CM Punk made a couple of appearances. I mean, you've got actors, you've got writers explaining what you just saw on Walking Dead. That's my first thought. So I agree with you 100%. The other part is as far as John Gaboric is concerned, and you not doing Jim Ross's podcast, I take a lot with that with a grain of salt. I doubt very seriously they had an issue with a writer doing interviews. I think they had an issue with you doing interviews, and I think to an extent I almost understand where they were coming from during that time frame. But you put it over in your column. At the end of the day, you were even worse. They're independent wrestlers are independent contractors. They should be able to get out there and put over their brand. You were a consultant at the time, and so there was a major difference, but it was in the middle of a slew of controversy. I understand why they didn't necessarily want you in that position, but Vince, you and I talked about this a lot during that time frame, and that wasn't the only time. Jim Ross's podcast was not the only time TNA attempted to basically just keep you quiet during your final, few weeks there.
Hey, Chris, you know what's pathetic about that? Here's what's pathetic. If you just saw the last interview with Chris, and a show I truly believe in, okay? And, bro, when I believe in something, you see how passionate I get. I'm the greatest PR man on the planet. Rather than keep me quiet for 10 freaking months, and bro, I don't even want to go down the freaking road again, but rather than keep a Vince Russo quiet for 10 months, would you not want him out there singing the freaking praises of your show? Are you that ignorant that you don't want somebody with my personality and my passion putting your show over? You're keeping me in a little box over here. I can't even open my mouth. But you know, but it's like
they let you do podcasts in the past. I remember reading podcasts or interviews of what you that you had done during your run with TNA, and when you were there, I remember one of them specifically was during the Eric Bischoff run. I think it was right when you went to Monday night. You guys went head to head with Raw, and you know, a lot of people thought that was a bad decision. I personally didn't. I thought it was a good attempt, but at the end of the day, you were out there singing the praises about it, talking about how amazing of a decision it was, whether you believed it behind the scenes or not at the time. When you were, you know, working for the company, you were putting it over like it was the best thing you guys could do to take that chance. So, you know, they let you do it in the past. They just didn't want you to do it that particular time.
Yeah, I just don't know, Chris. Here's where like I bang my head against a desk. Okay, you know, we just talked to Chris DeJoseph. Okay, a 34-year-old kid, bro, 34 years old, who gets it. I wrote an article today, Chris, a blog. I will gladly pass this kid the torch. Here, bro, you know what you're doing. Continue to do what you're doing, because quite frankly, I would be doing the same exact thing. Here you go. Go, bro. Run with it. So, Chris, I bang my head about why. This is the question I ask myself every day. Why is it being so difficult for them to evolve the wrestling business? Everything else evolves. It's as you said, Chris, you know, with television. I just used True Detectives as an example and how they're using the writers. You just used The Walking Dead, how they're using the writers. Now they're giving the television viewer and the fan of that show a little insight into how this is put together. So the question is, why can they not evolve the show? Do they not want to? Do they just want wrestling to be the same forever? And obviously that's not working. And again, not because Vince Russo says so. Look at any ratings log or history over the past 15 years. Obviously that's not working. Or is it that you don't know how to evolve it? And that's what makes it hard for me to understand, Chris. We got a 34-year-old kid here who knows how to evolve the business. He's doing it. Vince McMahon does not know how to evolve the wrestling business. Nobody on that 25-man writing team knows how to evolve the wrestling business. TNA does not know how to evolve the wrestling. Is this kid the only guy on the planet that knows how to evolve the wrestling business? That's the part that's so frustrating to me, bro, and that I can't understand for the life of me.
Well, I think, you know, you brought it up during his interview. I think fear probably does come into play with that. You know, when you started, you were a younger guy, obviously, at the time, and you didn't have any fear. It didn't matter to you. You knew things needed to be different. Vince recognized that, and you did that. You had everything to lose, but everything to gain. And so, a guy like Chris DeJoseph is in the same boat. WWE is stuck in that rut. They're afraid of changing. TNA obviously has been around long enough now where it's easy for them. And then, of course, you know, there's a slew of other issues on both sides of the coin. But Chris DeJoseph had a vision. He knew he needed to be different. And he went in looking at it that way, had very little to gain, or very little to lose. Of course, you look at the other side. You remember I don't know if you remember, it was only around for a hiccup, but do you remember Wrestling Society X?
Yes,
you know,
I do.
that was another attempt. You know, it was an MTV thing. They attempted to cater to that demographic. It obviously didn't work out, but it was another one. You know, they attempted to do something new with pro wrestling. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously, Lucha Underground is still too early to really tell exactly what's going to happen with it, but at the end of the day, you said it. They've got the balls to try something new, innovative, fresh, and so far it seems to be working out with them. And I know you're not the only one, Vince, that's ranting and raving about them every week.
Well, I also, I want to recommend, again, I talked to Chris DeJoseph for at least another hour, and we talked about, his struggles in the WWE. I mean, you heard, I learned firsthand what the writing structure is. I never talked to any writer in the WWE after I left. This was my first conversation. So I was able to get a little insight into how the writing structure worked, how it changed after I left. And then we talked about, Chris, why he left and why he made the jump over to Lucha Underground. Very, very informative. Again, if you sign up for the VIP, you can see the rest of that interview. Introductory price of only $2.99. To try the VIP site. My math's not good. I think that's 75 cents a week. Listen, what are you getting for 75 cents a week? You can't get a cup of coffee for 75 cents a week. Chris, are there any questions out there on Twitter? Anything anybody wants to ask me, wants to throw out there?
Yeah, you know what? Another reason to sign up for the VIP is last week, Kurt Angle. Ton of buzz over that interview. It was great. Higgs on Twitter wants to know, how would you book Kurt Angle in his final year as an active wrestler?
Oh, that's a tough one, bro, and I'll tell you why. Because if not being there, it's hard to say because I don't know what Kurt's health is. I mean, Kurt made it clear on our show he can't wrestle full time. He made that clear. So the first thing I would have to know is, okay, Kurt, how much can you wrestle? Is it that you can only wrestle for short periods of time? Like, can you wrestle 3 months and then we take you off of TV? Or can you not go every night over a 3-month span? That's going to affect the creative. So without really knowing what his liabilities are at this point, it's really tough to book that from afar. I would really have to know first what he's capable of doing from a physical level.
And do you watch Sons of Anarchy?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I guess season finale maybe was this week or something. Michael Waterman wants to know, do you think that is a bad sign that Roman Reigns, had to wait for a pop during the Slammies and maybe his push is too early?
I don't think so. Bro, I'll be honest with you. The crowds have been flat, man. There's, especially since Survivor Series. I mean, I think there was so much anticipation with Sting, bro. And I think, bro, if you could think about like a balloon the size of planet Earth, okay, bro? After the Survivor Series, there was this balloon the size of planet Earth filled with anticipation of where the WWE was going to go with Sting in this angle, okay? Within the first 15 minutes of the show, the air was let out of that balloon. And I think in doing so, bro, I think you took the air out of a lot of the fans. And, if you really listen, the weeks following, Survivor Series, I think the audience has been flat. I mean, bro, come on. The last 3 weeks, the main events of that show, they weren't true main events, bro. I mean, Mercury and I always forget the other jabron's name. What is it, Chris? Who's that other jabron?
I don't remember.
Whatever, bro. In a main event, bro, last night the main event is John Cena and Big Show. Big Show was at the WWE when I was there, bro. Cena's been on top for the last 10 years. This is the main event of the show. I wouldn't put that on Roman Reigns. I just think there's a lot of fans that are disappointed, and especially when they go to a live show, I think they're expecting more.
One more question, Vince, and Josh Hinkle, our main guy watching us tonight on his new 32-inch big screen, wants to know if you think Raw will go back to 2 hours, and I'm sure you don't. I doubt you do unless they were forced to do it. But I'm kind of curious, and the way that I wanted to pitch it to you was, I remember you talking with, I think, Glenn, and you talked about writing Nitro, your first 11. And during the stuff before the RD Reynolds, you talked about Nitro. Y'all's first 11 episodes were 3 hours, and you don't remember it being that hard. You don't remember it being any harder necessarily than the 2 hour shows. I mean, in the end, you put it over so much that 3 hours is too much for one person to consume, any person to consume of virtually anything. Do you really still believe, do you believe that completely? Was it too much when you were writing it as well?
No, Chris, I'll be honest with you, because again, I'm always perfectly honest. I'd love to say, it really isn't. You can write 3 hours of compelling television, and I believe in 1999 we did. The first 11 out of the 13 shows were 3 hours. Ed and I never had an issue writing the 3 hour show. I don't think any of the shows were boring. We never had matches go through break. There was no filler. It was like the WWE. Everybody had a story, from Daphne to David Flair to Miss Hancock, to the MIAs. Everybody was on the show. Everybody had a role. But I will say this, Chris, a lot has changed in 15 years. And I definitely believe that the attention span of the viewer in 15 years has changed dramatically when you think about the landscape of television changing over those same 15 years. So a 3 hour show in 1999 is not the same as a 3 hour show in 2014. I mean, bro, can the 3 hour show be written more compelling, faster pace, more people involved? Absolutely, without a doubt, yes. But 3 hours, I believe, in 2 hours in 2014, I still believe you're going to lose some viewers. It's just too long, bro.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. And by the way, just want everybody to know we're working on the details. I'm going to have a new question and answer feature for the free side, actually. Vince will answer a question a day, basically. We're working on getting that out there. You'll be able to listen to those the same way you listen to the Swerve every week, the free podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and, of course, on the website. You will actually be able to ask the questions via voicemail, so we're going to set that up. And then also for the brand, the VIP section, we're going to be doing a weekly Q&A with Vince just specifically for you guys as well. I believe all of that's going down in the next week. It's going to be hosted by a new personality that we want you to meet. Joe is his name. So if you haven't signed up for VIP, make sure you do it. Make sure you do it tonight, and I might extend it during the day tomorrow as well. You can use hashtag Swerve Live to get $2.99 for your first month and just try it out. So, Vince, wrap us up, man.
Well, I want to say this too, Chris. Before we go, we have a special edition of the Swerve Thursday night. You're getting this now. Thursday night, there's going to be a special bonus edition of the Swerve. I interviewed all-star first baseman Sean Casey, who was a great player. He retired a few years ago. Now he works for MLB TV as an analyst. Great ball player, great personality. This guy's hysterical. They used to call him the mayor in baseball because of his personality. Huge wrestling fan. So there's a real good interview with me and Sean Casey. Half baseball, because I'm a baseball mark, half wrestling. That's going to be special bonus to you. Thursday night, special edition of the Swerve. And also, let me tee this one up. Next Tuesday night, King Kong Bundy. You want to talk about a wrestling legend. When I say King Kong Bundy, I get a smirk on my face because this was a guy that was so unique to the business, so different, a legitimate heel, a legitimate monster, the 5 count, the whole 9 yards. He's going to be here next week. But, until then, Chris, again, thank you for another great job. I want to thank the sponsors one more time, musclenow.com, myfaceonafigure.com. I want to thank again my friend Josh watching me on his 32-inch plasma. Josh, thanks for all your support. And until next time, we will catch you on the rebound.
It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again. Add another swerve and then put it on a pole again. Put it on a pole again. Put it on the pole again. And our square to quad is gonna get